Today we have a lot to talk about. Bitcoin is currently fighting a war on multiple fronts, seemingly losing ground. We slipped under 9K so briefly I didn't even see any Vegeta memes. Who is waging this war though? Is it Trump? Is it the stock market? Is it those pesky Bitcoin miners? Is it Ponzi owners? Is Bitcoin at war with itself, repeatedly rejecting the psychological hurdle of $10,000? Has PayPal gone from Willem Dafoe to Willem Defriend? Are we going lower? We're going to take a dive into all of those topics today, but first, why am I wearing sunglasses? Am I trying to cosplay Fiat Daily or something? No, I don't think I look anything like him. What a stupid thing to say. I got into a bit of a fight recently, and I have this distracting cut on my face. It's not that big, it's a little bruised, but anyway. Now, the story isn't all that interesting, unfortunately. I wasn't at a bar with a guy coming up to me saying some outlandish stuff like,
Tron is better than Cardano, bro. In it.
I actually sustained this injury from moving household furniture. I will be going back for round 2 after this video though. Now with that embarrassing story out of the way, it's time for you to take me seriously as we now discuss important financial topics. The price of Bitcoin dropped below $9,000 from $9,660 within 7 hours recently. The 7% plunge comes as $55 million worth of long futures contracts were liquidated on BitMEX. Can we get an F in the chat for our fallen brothers? This was a bad day for the stock market too, though, dropping 2.72%. This sounds pretty funny when you consider the swings we get in crypto, but this was the S&P 500's worst day in almost 2 weeks. So in a crazy turn of events, it's the US economy that now seems to be manipulating Bitcoin instead of, whatever boogeyman we were blaming for Bitcoin's actions. Tether. And to show you how serious I am about that statement, Dow futures sharply dropped 340 points after top White House trade advisor Peter Navarro said the China trade deal is over because of how China informed the US about coronavirus. Update: stock futures rebound from 430 point drop after Peter Navarro says his comments about the China trade deal being over were about the lack of trust with China. Navarro added, Phase 1 remains in place. There was never actually any trade deal being over. Not sure where you got that impression from. Crazy stuff. And this would just be one of potentially several things I could mention when people discuss Bitcoin in a negative light, when they say things like it's a Ponzi or it's manipulated to enrich the powerful. Sure, I understand how some people might think that way, but what better non-manipulated alternative do we have? Gold? Fiat? The stock market? Baseball trading cards? How many of these are not a manipulated Ponzi? And this is also another argument about Bitcoin versus alts that comes up. The fact that Bitcoin seemingly has an altruistic creator, that his early mined coins are dormant, that he left the space and left it to the people, is for me kind of beautiful, honestly. And it's the best thing in the world financially speaking, in my opinion. Call me a maximalist. Bitcoin does have its problems, but other things have their own, if not the exact same problems. So anyway, at least for now, Bitcoin seems to be at the mercy of the wider economy, yet simultaneously also at the mercy of the 5-figure USD psychological hurdle. But it is also at the mercy of the miners, who until very recently were selling record low amounts of Bitcoin until yesterday, June 24th. I mean, hopefully this video is coming out today. It does take me a while to edit these things. It's so bright. There we go. I just had to prove I'm not Fiat Daily. Yesterday, we observed the largest flow of Bitcoin from miners to exchanges in over a year. This was primarily due to large miner transfers to Bitfinex, totaling 26,000. My goodness. 2,650 Bitcoin.
Quick maths.
Are we going to go lower though? Who cares what I think? Let's take a look at what institutions think first. So the likes of the CME here specifically. As you can see, those guys, generally speaking, don't think much of Bitcoin and are net short on it most of the time. Actually, a pure evil organization over there as far as I'm concerned. It reached record lows in March, as did most of the worldwide economy though, so we can't hold that against them too much. We're not at record level lows at the moment, but still incredibly low. Institutional traders are banking on Bitcoin going lower. But if they're always net short, that's not entirely helpful. What are actual Bitcoin to USD traders doing then? Having a look at TensorCharts.com, forgive the layout, I know it looks pretty bad. However, there is an interesting indicator that I want to use here. We're going to try and find one specific indicator that can give us a good feel for the market, potentially even having predictive powers. Now, we're going to look at Bitfinex here primarily. For some reason, people high up in the industry respect the hell out of Bitfinex, and I know that that's completely the opposite from the retail perspective, from the fact that Bitfinex won't audit Tether. So it's quite the divide, but you'll have to trust me, it's true. And I actually do get a little bit of insight as to why, and I'll show you why. First of all, let's take a look at something like Coinbase Pro Bitcoin USD. Now we're looking at the counters ratio at the bottom here. What we're looking out for are these red spots versus these green spots. These are, generally speaking, the amount of people buying or selling, indicated in colors. Did that make any sense? Of course it did. It was super simple. Anyway, moving on. We can see it's almost always green. Is that useful at all? Because it's green even when Bitcoin's going down? No, it's not useful at all. Let me go to a different exchange. Binance BTC USDT. Okay. Is that any more insightful? No. However, what we do get from Bitfinex's orders is something maybe even a little bit predictive. We can see after Bitcoin had made its lows in the deepest parts of the bear market, there was plenty of buying. However, we can see it start to taper off, and then from about March, predominantly red. They have been, looking at this, massively dumping on us for the past 3 months.
Here we go, look. Puddle at the bottom of the hill. Coming up, kids at the bottom of the hill. Come on. Yeah! That was brilliant!
Last chart I want to take a look at, and I assure you it's going to look a little nicer. The world's most liquid Bitcoin market, BitMEX. So what we're looking at down here at the bottom is the funding rates for contracts. If they are above this line, people are net long. If they are below, they are net short. Not only are we net short right now, but people have been massively net short for months now, very, very rarely getting bullish. These people literally want the worst thing to happen for Bitcoin.
Say what again? Say what again? I double dare you, motherfucker. Say what one more goddamn time.
What?
Does he look like a bitch?
So, it's clear to me right now the majority of institutional traders, retail traders, and anything and everything in between all expect Bitcoin to go lower. Therefore, Bitcoin will go up. Thanks for watching. Usually I'd make that case, and I would have no caveats to that statement. However, the trend right now very much is Bitcoin's at the mercy of the greater economy. And if the greater economy goes down, could this really be the case where the masses actually get it right? I doubt it, but I'll leave that for you to decide. Now, what's Trump got to do with it? Why am I singling out that poor man? Well, maybe not for anything he's done lately, but a book soon to be released from his ex-national security advisor, John Bolton, has had an excerpt from it that is spread online. According to Bolton's memoir, The Room Where It Happened, Trump urged Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin to go after Bitcoin in May 2018, reportedly referencing the crypto during a conversation about trade sanctions and tariffs on China. What seemed to follow was Bitcoin ETF rejection. After Bitcoin ETF rejection, it became somewhat of a meme, and then eventually for Steve Mnuchin himself to declare that Bitcoin is a national security issue. What we didn't know at the time was that this was directed by Trump himself. We only strongly speculated that that was the case before now. Is this good or bad? Well, generally speaking, you don't want your government to be anti-crypto if you can avoid it, but the positives are quite clear. If this is one president's remit, opinion, then maybe it might not be of the next. Or, failing all that, when the world's most powerful people are threatened by Bitcoin, you might just be onto something there. Anyway, the last front Bitcoin is facing a war on that I'm going to speak about in today's video, at least I haven't got all day. Plus token coins. $190 million worth of Ethereum from their scam is on the move, trying to hide what they're doing by mixing their coins, although people are still able to track it seems. Now moving on to the Bitcoin component. Quite possibly, the last 22,000 Bitcoin, or around 200 million, has now started to enter mixers over the past few days. Now, I hypothesized that with the founders of the Ponzi being on the run, having already cashed out hundreds of millions, if not billions, and with authorities and blockchain forensic companies looking out for them and tracking these coins, there was a possibility, if not a good possibility, that they would never move the remaining coins. That doesn't look to be the case. Damn it. I wonder, honestly, if the real mastermind of Plus Token isn't on the run at all. Maybe authorities just haven't been able to link them. This kind of activity does seem to suggest a strong belief in their own personal security or incredible hubris. I don't mean to sugarcoat this one. This one sucks. Hopefully, this is the last 200 million of their dumping, of reportedly 3 billion that they raised. Quite ridiculous, honestly, that exchanges haven't been able to blacklist these coins, and it's come to this. But I guess they're making fees from these sells, so you know what? They're probably welcoming it. Two things which suck the most for Bitcoin's price. Number one, miners selling what they mine. Number two, exchanges taxing all of us and dumping their taxes back on us. Cycle of life. Now, moving on a little here, I want to talk about the recent rumors of PayPal integrating Bitcoin in some capacity. I know I'm not brand new expose breaking news, here we go, but I do want to give my opinion on this. And I also know that the hype was extremely short-lived. Venmo and parent company PayPal, in case you don't know, are wanting to get into crypto in some capacity. Unconfirmed rumors, just keep that in mind, but generally speaking, there's no smoke without cigars, or whatever that saying is. Now, this is an interesting development, considering what ex-CEO of PayPal, Bill Harris, had to say about Bitcoin, uttering such outlandish phrases he could get a fist in the face for. Cryptocurrencies are a colossal pump and dump scheme, bro, the likes of which the world has never seen. And also saying, Bitcoin is useless as a payment mechanism and ridiculous as a store of value. Bitcoin makes no revenue, no profitability. Apparently comparing a scarce resource to a profit-making company. Very strange comparison to make. And now it seems like Gandhi, the Bitcoin OG, is right yet again. I forget exactly what he said, but it was something like, first they say you make no profits, bro. Then PayPal adopts Bitcoin. Ruffle mouth. How I explain how I feel about this? Obviously I would say it's a good thing, but it does kind of feel like the Telegram industry, that is sending literal pieces of paper for those that think I'm talking about the messaging app, attempting to offer a service where they facilitate text messages for you. Why would I want to do that? But I don't mean to discredit them here. PayPal is still the king of online payments. While the likes of Cash App, etc. are snapping at the heels of PayPal, PayPal still dwarfs the competition in terms of revenue. Last year, PayPal turned over $17.7 billion, up 15% from 2018, but more importantly, has experienced year-on-year growth since its inception in 2010. Of course, there are more advantages that PayPal provides: invoices, customer service, fraud protection, among other things. The option of a peer-to-peer currency without third parties is great, but for worldwide adoption, you will absolutely have people who do require these types of services. PayPal has over 300 million users, so you know what? This is good for Bitcoin. But I do find myself asking, when Amazon, 200 million users, a month. But whether Bitcoin will hit 20k again due to the help of PayPal, let's just say I have some doubts. But the interesting story here is that maybe PayPal already helped Bitcoin get that far in the first place. After all, it was PayPal who, way back in 2010, froze funds for an account associated with WikiLeaks, which forced them to consider alternatives, choosing to go with Bitcoin, bringing immense attention to the space, something Satoshi himself feared had come a little too early, and then very shortly afterwards disappeared. Until he came back again. I'm joking. So how will facilitating Bitcoin on PayPal work exactly? We don't really know, but here's what we do know. 3 sources have stated on the record that PayPal/Venmo will offer direct purchases and sales of crypto assets to consumers and will have an in-app wallet functionality. They're working with multiple exchanges to source liquidity, and the service may be available in the next 3 months. PayPal and Venmo haven't officially confirmed or denied. Why does this matter? Venmo is the #1 financial institution by number of active digital users for 2019. Good old Coinbase, Binance probably don't make top 10. I don't know. Do they? Yeah, they might actually. Coinbase might. Interesting. But does this actually impact the price? Who's to say at this point? PayPal and Venmo are simply the latest fintech platforms to offer likely just Bitcoin buys and sells, much like the Cash App or Robinhood, but they will not be the last. But will they go the Jack Dorsey route of strictly Bitcoin only, being very focused on scaling Bitcoin through the Lightning Network? Or will they go the Coinbase route, offering all sorts of stuff? Personally, I think it's best if they just stick to maybe Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think the user experience of having multiple tokens that you need to research could be a little bit daunting. But if there are going to be more coins, have it in the settings that are disabled by default. Just please, no PayPal coin. Okay? That's all I'm really going to ask for. Now, as a short little update. Ta-da! My MCO card arrived. Now, as far as I'm aware, there are quite a few alternatives, but none as competitive. But you know what does it for me? It's metal. How cool is that? Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully it won't be as long before the next video. I was playing The Last of Us 2. My goodness, that was a mistake. If you enjoyed it, good for you, but I hated it. Anyway, that's another rant for another time. I'll see you on the next one.